It is now my pleasure to welcome to the stage someone who also cares a lot about the outdoors and getting kids outdoors and lifelong learnables, an adventurer, a writer, a speaker. I'm talking about you, Karl. Please welcome to the stage, Karl Kruger!
Well, first I'd like to say thank you. I'm honored to be here tonight. I have to say, there's literally nothing in my life that would have indicated that I'd be invited to events like this to talk in front of a whole bunch of people. I've been dirtbagging it my entire life. Running around out in the mountains, climbing things, paddling, sailing, delivering yachts, you name it, everything outdoors. And the thing that has led me forward through all of this has been this need and this desire to connect to nature and connect to the land. I run a sailing charter company called Krüger based loosely around Orcas Island. Sail 3,000 to 6,000 miles a year, taking people out, getting them dirty, breaking them. One of the things that I've learned through all the years of running these sailing charters is that people have a way of choosing their own best therapy. They might not know it when they sign up to come out sailing with me, but we will break you. That's what happens. People leave changed. I'd like to tell a quick story about a young woman that I worked with a bunch of years ago. Her name was Sunny. She's a Lummi young woman. I think she was 14 years old. And this was an at-risk group of kids, but I think we had 14 of them on this program that we were running at Orcas Island. And the program was not going well. I mean, full transparency, was not going well, and we needed an intervention. And what I realized is we need to get these kids on the water and stat right now. And so we completely changed up the program. We got down on the beach, we're digging clams, got the canoes out, we're building a raft. And I was in damage control, right? You know, I was running all the other instructors, and I was running everything. I just had a mad scene in front of me, right? And this young woman behind me was tapping me on the shoulder the whole time, and I didn't notice because I was so busy with all these fires that I was putting out here. And a little while later, one of the other instructors came up to me and was like, "Hey, Karl, you gotta go check in with her." And so I went over, her name was Sunny, and I went over and checked in with her, and I was like, "Hey, Sunny, you know, I'm sorry we couldn't connect earlier, but it sounds like you have something you want to talk about." And at first she was kind of pissed off and, you know, kind of closed in, and eventually she said, "You know, I really want to go for a paddle." And I was like, "Great, there's a canoe, it's got our name on it, let's go." So we got the paddles out, we got the PFDs on. I gave her mine, you know, we had this whole program where we gave all the kids a little instant, you know, little camera, you know, like one of those little throwaway cameras. This was some years ago. No devices were allowed in the program. So we get in the canoe and we start paddling, and she let me know that she had never been in a canoe ever in her life, right? But she was drawn to it. She desperately wanted to get that paddle in her hand. And so we get out on the water, and I've done a lot of paddling in my life, right? Like I was also raised, I actually don't even remember the first time I had a paddle pressed into my hands. You know, my dad was an Algonquin man, and I was raised in the paddling culture in the Northeast. And so I've been paddling a long time, and I've had a lot of people sit and bow for me. And I will tell you that that girl, within seconds of taking that paddle in her hands, knew what to do. She paddled better than most white people I've ever been with. It was amazing. It was amazing. That girl changed in the 2 hours we were on the water, just 2. You know, I took her over to those rocks, you know, we saw a bunch of seals, and we saw some pups, and she's tripping all over herself, trying to get her camera so she can take pictures. Just lit her up. And years later, you know, I got some emails from her, and she's taking a pretty good path, and I know that day actually helped. And we're here tonight to talk about supporting GPI and getting kids like her on the water and showing them how to connect in that way. I've got my own project going right now, up in the Arctic actually, speaking of paddling, all about connectivity. I'm paddling through the Northwest Passage, about 2,000 miles over 3 seasons, alone on a stand-up paddleboard. And this project is distilled connection. I was talking to somebody here a little while ago about all the other projects I've done in my life. There was this sense that there was a luxury to connect. It was a luxury, you know, I could choose to or not to connect with the ancestors and connect to the place. And I can tell you that paddling in the Arctic alone on a paddleboard, it's a requirement. It's a requirement. You won't survive unless you do. And those are the skills that we want to teach these kids. That's why we want to buy a $2,000 chainsaw tonight, because we want to get those kids out on the water. A few years ago, I had the distinct pleasure of having a couple of beers with Bill Anders. I don't know if anybody remembers that name. He was an Apollo space mission astronaut, who's the man that risked the court-martial to take the blue marble photograph, right? And we got to sit and have a couple of beers. It was really amazing to sit and talk with him. One of the first human beings to see the Earth hanging in space, right? And to have that visceral sense of how delicate this place is, right? And the point I'm trying to make tonight between that perspective of Bill Anders and the connectivity with nature is that if we're going to do anything about climate change, and if we're going to do anything about the environmental catastrophe that we have all brought on this planet, we need to get these kids outdoors. We need to teach them about connecting with this place and to give them that visceral understanding that this place is delicate and we're going to do something about it. Thank you.